Something happens that should make you feel something. Your best friend tells you amazing news, you smile, you say the right words, but inside, nothing. Just emptiness where the emotion should be. You watch a movie that used to make you cry, nothing. You do things you used to love, nothing. Someone asks, "Are you okay?" and you say, "I'm fine," because how do you explain that you're not sad, not angry, not anything? You're just hollow. Your eyes have hollow gaze. Welcome to Chapter 2 of Psyche Lacuna. Let me tell you about Elena. Elena is 29, successful graphic designer, great relationship, travels frequently. Everyone thinks Elena has the perfect life. But 3 months ago, Elena was watching the sunset from her hotel balcony in Barcelona, something she'd dreamed about for years. And she felt nothing, not joy, not gratitude, not awe, just nothing. She stared at the colors bleeding across the sky and thought, "I should be feeling something right now." But the feeling never came. Elena has hollow gaze. She goes through the motions of living. She works, she socializes, she maintains relationships, but it's like she's watching someone else live her life, like she's operating her body from behind glass, like the emotions that should be there have been unplugged completely. She laughs at jokes but doesn't feel the humor. She says, "I love you," but can't access the feeling. She experiences things that should move her and feels only the void where her responses used to be. And if you're watching this, if you know exactly what I'm describing, because you're living it right now, you need to understand something. Hollow gaze isn't rare anymore. In 2025, emotional numbness is becoming epidemic, and you're not broken for having it. You're exhausted. Hollow gaze is what happens when you've felt too much for too long, and your nervous system finally hits the emergency shutoff. Think of it like a circuit breaker. When too much electricity flows through, the breaker trips to prevent a fire. That's what happened to your emotions. You didn't lose them because you're broken. You lost them because your system decided feeling was too dangerous, too overwhelming, and it flipped the switch to protect you from total collapse. But here's the problem. Circuit breakers can be reset. Hollow gaze doesn't work that way. The switch has been off so long you've forgotten where it is, forgotten how to flip it, started to suspect that maybe the emotions you remember feeling were always fake. Always just you pretending when really you were hollow all along. You've become hollow gaze, a person who exists but doesn't experience, who lives but doesn't feel, who moves through the world like a ghost present, but not really there, existing in a gray space where nothing touches you, nothing moves you, nothing breaks through the numbness that's become your default state. You're not depressed in the traditional sense. Depression implies sadness. You don't have that. You have nothing. The absence of feeling so complete, it's become its own kind of prison. Psychologists call this anhedonia, the inability to feel pleasure. But hollow gaze is bigger than that. It's not just the loss of pleasure, it's the loss of all emotional response, positive, negative, neutral. It's all just gray, all just flat, all just nothing. And the worst part? You can't even feel sad about losing your feelings. All you have is awareness, the cold understanding that you should be feeling something and you're not, that something fundamental is missing. How do you know if you've developed hollow gaze? Let me show you the signs. Sign 1. You can't cry even when you want to. Something terrible happens and you know you should cry. You try to cry, but nothing comes. The tears won't form. The emotion won't surface. You feel locked inside yourself, watching your own suffering from behind glass, unable to access the natural responses that should be there. Sign 2. Good news doesn't excite you anymore. You get the promotion, win the prize, achieve the goal, and you feel nothing. Maybe a distant intellectual understanding that this is supposed to be good, but the actual feeling isn't there. You smile because you're supposed to, but inside, there's just emptiness. Sign 3. Nothing tastes the way it used to. Your favorite foods are just fuel. Music that used to move you is just noise. Art that used to inspire you is just shapes. Experiences that used to thrill you are just things that happen while you're present, but not really there. Sign 4. You feel like you're watching your life through a screen. There's a sense of disconnection, of being slightly removed from your own existence. Things happen to you, and you observe them happening, but you don't feel them happening. You're a spectator in your own life. Sign 5. You can't remember the last time you felt excited about something. When was the last time you felt genuine anticipation, genuine enthusiasm? You can't remember. Everything is just whatever, just fine. Just happening or not happening, and it doesn't matter either way. Sign 6. People tell you seem off, but you can't explain what's wrong. Friends say you're not yourself, but when they ask you to explain, you can't. There's nothing specific that's wrong, no event you can point to. You're just hollow now, just numb now, and how do you explain that? Sign 7. You've stopped making plans for the future. Not because you're suicidal, but because you can't imagine caring about anything enough to plan for it, can't imagine feeling strongly about anything enough to work toward it. Sign 8. You feel guilty for not feeling. People who love you do kind things for you, and you can't feel grateful, can't feel moved. Then you feel guilty about not feeling, like you're failing them, but you can't even feel the guilt properly. If you recognized yourself in 5 or more of these signs, you need to keep watching. Because what I'm about to tell you will help you understand that you're not broken. You're protecting yourself. So why do we develop hollow gaze? The answer is emotional overload followed by system shutdown. Your nervous system is designed to handle a certain amount of emotional intensity, but when you exceed that capacity for too long, your system makes an executive decision. Feeling is too dangerous, so we're shutting it down entirely. Maybe you went through something traumatic and the feelings were too big to process, so your system locked them away to keep you functional. Maybe you've been stressed and anxious for so long that your nervous system exhausted itself, ran out of fuel to power your emotional responses. Maybe you learned early that showing emotions was dangerous, so you taught yourself to suppress them so deep and so consistently that eventually they stopped being accessible at all. Or maybe it's simpler. Maybe you're just exhausted. Exhausted from feeling, from processing, from experiencing. Maybe your system looked at the energy required to keep feeling and decided shutdown was the only way to survive. Psychologists call this emotional numbing, dissociation, depersonalization. But what they often miss is that hollow gaze isn't a disorder, it's a survival mechanism. It's not brokenness, it's protection. Your system shut down your emotions because keeping them online was going to destroy you. And some part of you made the call to flip the switch to save you from something worse. And here's what nobody tells you. It worked. Whatever you were trying to survive, you survived it. The shutdown kept you functional when feeling everything would have broken you. The numbness protected you when vulnerability would have destroyed you. Hollow gaze saved your life. But now you're stuck here, in the gray space, where survival happens but living doesn't. And the mechanism that protected you has become the thing that's trapping you. Let me tell you what hollow gaze cost you. It cost you connection. You can't truly connect with people when you can't feel toward them, can't bond when you're numb, can't love when you're hollow. People reach out to you and it's like their hand passes through you. They share their joy and you can't celebrate with them. They share their pain and you can't grieve with them. They share their love and you can't receive it. Relationships become performances. You go through the motions of caring without the actual caring. You say the words that are supposed to mean something, but they're just words, just sounds. And people can feel it. They can sense something's missing. And slowly they stop reaching out, stop trying, and you can't even feel sad about losing them. It costs you aliveness. Life becomes a series of events that happen while you're present but not experiencing them. You achieve things and feel nothing. You lose things and feel nothing. You exist in a perpetual gray zone where nothing is particularly good or particularly bad, where everything is just whatever, just happening. It costs you self-trust. When you can't feel your emotions, you can't trust your judgment, can't trust your instincts. Should you end that relationship? You don't know. Should you take that job? You don't know. Every decision becomes a guess because the internal compass has been disconnected. It costs you memory. When you don't feel things, you don't encode them properly. Experiences that should be meaningful just slide past, leave no mark. Your life becomes a blur. Years pass and you can't remember them clearly because nothing had the emotional significance that turns moments into memories. And underneath all of this is the question: what if you can never feel again? What if the switch has been off so long you've forgotten how to turn it back on? What if this numbness is permanent? That thought is the cost. That fear is what hollow gaze takes from you. So how do you recover from hollow gaze? First, understand this. You're not going to flip a switch and suddenly feel everything again. Emotional reconnection is gradual, slow, sometimes so subtle you won't notice it's happening. Here's where you start. Step 1. Accept the numbness without fighting it. The more you fight the hollowness, the more you reinforce the disconnection. Your nervous system shut down because it perceived threat, and fighting the numbness registers as more threat. So stop fighting. Accept that right now, you're numb. Let it be what it is without adding suffering on top. Step 2. Start with physical sensations, not emotions. You can't force emotions to come back, but you can reconnect with your body. Notice temperature. Is your coffee hot or cold? Notice texture. What does this fabric feel like? Notice sensation. Does this water feel refreshing? You're rebuilding the neural pathways between your body and your awareness. You can't feel emotions if you can't feel your body, so start there. Step 3. Pursue tiny moments of aliveness, not happiness. Don't aim for joy. Aim for micro moments of slightly less numb. Take a cold shower and notice if there's any response. Listen to music and notice if there's any flicker of recognition. You're trying to find the tiny cracks in the numbness, the small openings where feeling might start to return. Step 4. Tell someone about the numbness. This is terrifying, but keeping the hollowness secret reinforces the disconnection. Find one person you trust and say the true thing. I can't feel anything right now. I'm numb. You don't need them to fix it. You just need them to witness it. Step 5. Reduce demands for emotional performance. Stop performing happiness you don't feel. Stop pretending at enthusiasm you don't have. It's okay to say, I'm not feeling much right now, instead of fake laughing. Stop the performance. It takes energy that could be going toward actually feeling. Step 6. Give it time and don't pathologize yourself. Hollow gaze developed over time, and it will resolve over time as your nervous system learns it's safe to feel again. Stop making it mean you're broken. You're a nervous system in protective mode, gradually learning it's safe to come back online. Some people recover in weeks, some in months, some in years. Just give it time, be patient, trust the process. And here's what nobody tells you. The first emotions that return aren't usually happiness. Often the first thing you feel is sadness, grief, pain, all the feelings that were too big to process. And that's okay. That's good. That's the sign that your system trusts you enough to start processing what you couldn't process before. Hollow gaze consumes aliveness by convincing you that numbness is safer than feeling. But you noticed it, you recognized it, and that awareness is the first step toward reconnection. You're not broken for being numb. You're exhausted. You're protecting yourself. You're surviving. But survival mode was never meant to be permanent, and the hollow existence that kept you safe is now preventing you from truly living. It won't be easy reconnecting with emotions after they've been offline so long. Some days the numbness will feel permanent. Some days you'll wonder if you'll ever feel again. But you weren't always hollow. You felt things before. You had access to emotions before. And that capacity still exists in you. Dormant but not dead. Disconnected but not destroyed. And you deserve to feel again. You deserve to experience joy, not just perform it. You deserve to feel love, not just say the words. You deserve to be alive in your own life, instead of watching it happen from behind glass. Not hollow gaze, not the numb thing, not the empty shell. You feeling connected, alive. Chapter 2. Complete. The void continues. If this chapter reached through the numbness and touched something, share it with one person who might be hollow too. Comment one small physical sensation you noticed today. Let's start reconnecting together. I'll see you in Chapter 3. Until then, remember, numbness was protection, but feeling is living. Welcome back to your emotions, even if they're not here yet.